Today I'm going to talk about one of the scenes from the original Planet of the Apes movies. I see new ones coming out. I'm talking back in the 60s, 70s, when the first ape said no.
John Myers has remarkably confronted the challenges of our time. Through his journey, John developed the philosophy that our goodness is strength. Together, we will change the world.
The reason I share my story is not only to bring fairness, justice, all these kind of things in my own life. It's because I think it serves a incredible, remarkable even, saga of a case study of human behavior. Because the most intense parts have unfolded over 28 years, and I've survived and thrived in some ways, I'm able to draw a case study and real lessons for society to learn out of this whole. I believe it's a story that can shape the destiny of humankind. Which reminds me of the ape part, right? Because, I was a fan of the original Planet of the Apes series as a boy, as I just loved that. And it was so groundbreaking. Yeah, you might go back and look at some of it. It looks like a classic one is coming out around May this year. Anyway, there was a great line in one of the original series where they mentioned the first ape that said no. In other words, drew the line with what they were talking about, maltreatment by human beings, right? So how it resonates with my story is this. It goes beyond this, but one way it resonates is this. I have this thing, and you've heard me talk about narcissism, even psychopathic behaviors and this kind of thing. And so my family was really the catalyst for this, believe it or not, as worse than our divorce and legal system. But one of the facets of their, being thrust into the divorce and legal system with my ex-wife, who was acting, let's say distressfully, but very much on a larger umbrella at the bidding of my own family. Can you believe this is like the unbelievable part of my story, is that, and I was raised with a sense my parents at the time were good people as far as I knew. I was raised with a sense of civil rights, and, my father had gone to the South, connected with Martin Luther King, all these kind of things. So I always had fairness, and he was an attorney who, portrayed goodness. So, I had a sense of the law being a fair thing. So I'm thrust into this divorce court thing, and my family now is coming in with my ex-wife against me, which is the unfathomable part of my story. But I'm standing in there, and and the Massachusetts courts in this particular county is the worst of the worst of the worst. And I'm standing in there, and they want to rip apart my family and harm my children. The legal system kind of feeds off itself, in terms of money, the energy they take from people. And I'm like, so I was the guy, and, so they're putting all these things. So I was the guy who said no. Okay. I had fairness. I said, I at no point did I believe I was a lesser parent than my ex-wife. And I wasn't going to have people just, I had this ideal of the court system being fair. And I wasn't having them just chop me up and do these things that I believe would be harmful to my kids and all this. So I said no. And what I'm also getting at is the level. What makes my story incredible is the degree of opposition that was around me. As I've mentioned, my brother, a younger brother from California, just had this unfathomable kind of vengeance towards me from childhood. I wasn't the best. I wasn't a constant bully. We grew up, we wrestled, we tussled, whatever. But he creates this notion with his wife, who I think had this real ferocity of vengeance, to really come at me. And this is one of the key parts of my story that I had never really, understood. That there are people who just come at you you're just living your life. You're 3,000 miles away. There's people who will come at you. And that's one of the key messages on my rendition here, is that there are people in society need to understand. Young people, there are people who will come at you for no reason. So what I'm getting at, there was so much force directed at me, and I'm standing for the best interests of my children. Initially, it's expanded out to me, the world, my children, me, the world, the whole 9 yards, as my son once wrote to me. But there's my father and mother, my brother, they're Harvard and Yale I may do a Harvard and Yale video at some point. A law firm in Pennsylvania, a law firm in Boston. All these people are against me. And all I want to do is, put aside the vengeance they were coming at me, most of them, or a lot of them. And then, I just want to parent my children and live my life. And it's like, and so when I get all this force against me, and, we, like a prism, we're stuck in this situation. It's had 10, 20, 28 years and so on. And I said, look, my barometer, why I bring out fairness for the world, my barometer is fairness. You're not going to treat me and my interests with my children unfairly. So like that first ape in the Planet of the Apes, I said, no, it's not going to happen. And so that's why I talk about turning challenge into opportunity, because you're like in this situation for decades now, right? What happens if you don't let it break you, you get a lot stronger for sure, and more mature, I'm not, I do things gentle, determined, mature, respectful, all those kind of things. And you develop, and the vision for the world grows exponentially, because you're dealing with this irrational opposition for so long. So that's what I help people do, to, please like and subscribe. I forget to say that often enough, but, mostly, through my training, coaching, and mediation, go to the website. I teach people and help people develop your inner strength. And, because everything I've wanted for the most part is genuine, is deserved. So I help people find what's deserved to you, and then develop the strength to go out and get it. So you can become a societal champion, because this world is going to bring that irrational pressure on most of it. Could be financial, could be, political, could be neighborly, anything's going to come at you. And what I teach people is the way not only to stand up for themselves and not be beaten down, but also to develop a bigger agenda, so you become a much stronger person, and a person who can influence the world in a much better way. And that's kind of the lemons out of lemonade that came out of my story. So that's it for now.